Greetings and welcome to Pinball Features. This is a series of videos where I talk about individual features of pinball machines. And it's designed for people that may not even be that familiar with pinball, so I try to describe it in very basic terms. And maybe even some of you that are pinball enthusiasts may learn some stuff. And of course, I'm learning stuff every day, so thank you guys for putting up with me. Anyway, today's feature is on Add-A-Balls. And I'm going to use this game as an example. This is a 1974 Bally Delta Queen pinball machine. And what is an Add-A-Ball? Well, there's two main types of pinball machines. There's games where you can win a credit, and then there's Add-A-Balls. Now, why did they make this second variation? Because that's not the way they originally were. They were always kind of you play them and you win credits, and you can do something with the games and the credits to play them. But what happened was some of the earlier games were used for gambling. And what would happen in these bars is people would play these machines, and they'd have a deal with the bar where if you won a bunch of games, you could cash them in with the bartender, you know. So if you played well enough and you won, you could get your money back or make some money. And so what would usually happen is these machines would have credit counters, and they'd go up to a lot of credits, you know, and people would play on them and then cash out. So it was kind of like gambling. Um, in the 50s, they tried to crack down on this in a number of different states. There was a lot of anti-gambling stuff going on, and one of the most famous things is in New York when they destroyed a whole bunch of machines and outlawed gambling. So the pinball makers, in an effort to kind of get around that, they created alternate versions of their games that were called Add-A-Ball, where you didn't actually win credits, because that was kind of a legal way to get around it. Was you couldn't certain games were outlawed where you could win credits on the machine that could possibly be cashed in and paid off. So these Add-A-Ball machines, instead of winning a credit, you would get an extra ball. So you'd still basically play one game, and if you did well, the game just never ended. You just kept getting more balls. And so this is what was called an Add-A-Ball machine. And this particular game here, Delta Queen, is a game that can be set to either regular play with credits, because there's a little credit score in there, or it can be set to Add-A-Ball. So if you notice down here, the display says balls to play. So it will light up how many balls you have, 3, 5, 6, 7, whatever. And this is typical game, can be set for 3-ball or 5-ball play, but if you've also got it set to Add-A-Ball, and there's a little jumper in there that'll do it, then instead of awarding a game, what you'll get with this is an extra ball. So that's why the idea of special we think of as winning a game, but in an Add-A-Ball, a special means it gives you an extra ball too. So this game is one of the few that's adjustable. Certain manufacturers made different versions of their games. Like next to me, there's a game called Target Pool. Now there's an Add-A-Ball version of this that looks very similar, but has the ball counter instead of the credit counter. And Gottlieb, when Gottlieb did these games, they used different names for them. Whereas Bally, a lot of their games, they just made them, and they could be set to regular or Add-A-Ball. Now, there's some people that really collect Add-A-Ball games because they're definitely different and weird and unique. The first Add-A-Ball machine was in 1960. And that was to try to combat all of the anti-gambling stuff. So they argued, hey, there's no gambling here because the game's not awarding credit, so it's not considered a gambling device. And so that was their idea. And I think at one point in time, the Pinball Hall of Fame was operating games over, I think, at the Riviera Hotel. And I don't know if this was for legal purposes, but they had a whole bunch of vintage pinball machines over there that were, on pay to play, but they were all Add-A-Balls, which I thought was kind of amusing. So it was kind of cool that even as late as probably the mid 2000s, they were doing that kind of stuff. It was pretty cool. So how gameplay wise, what's the difference between an Add-A-Ball and a regular ball? Well, I personally think the Add-A-Balls are not as fun to play as a regular game because once you figure the game out, you just keep getting balls and the game just keeps going and going and going. Score obviously doesn't seem to be as meaningful when you can hit certain features and continue to get extra balls and just play inevitably. My idea of pinball is you get a finite number of balls, you try to score the best that you can. With add a ball, you can probably very easily roll the machine if you play well enough and you get enough extra balls. This particular game here starts off with 3 or 5 balls, but you can get up to like 9 balls with it, and the little counter will, there's a light in there that'll just go up 3, 4, 5, 6, and then every time you play another ball, it counts down, but if you hit the special in the game, it counts back up. So you got balls left that changes depending upon how well you play. So that's the idea behind add-a-ball games. They were basically designed for a short period of time, 60s and the 70s mainly, to kind of get around anti-gambling laws. And they're an interesting little novelty, a subset of certain kinds of the history of pinball. So hope that was informative. In any case, if you want to find out more, visit my website, PinballHelp.com, and don't forget to subscribe to YouTube/PinballHelp. And if you guys have questions or other things you want me to cover in future features, send an email to mike@PinballHelp.com, and I will be happy to do a short little video. I'm finding it's fun. People ask me, what is an add-a-ball, or what is a wedge head? And I thought, I'm just going to start making these series of short little videos, and let's see how far we can get with it. So until next time, thanks for watching.